In 1965, there were more than 1,500 FW Woolworth lunch counters operating across the United States. Every single one had the same red and gold signage above the counter, the same chrome stools bolted to the same linoleum floor, and the same hand-lettered menu board above the grill. A hamburger platter was 55 cents, a frankfurter was 20, and a King Size Coca-Cola was a dime. Item number 18 on this list was the most reordered plate in Woolworth's lunch counter history. Item number 7 was so cheap that a working man could eat 3 of them and still have change from $1. And item number 1, the blue plate special that defined the American lunch hour from coast to coast for 40 years, has been so completely erased from living memory that most people under 50 have never seen one. Hit subscribe, and let's count down the 25 forgotten Woolworth's lunch counter specials that closed the day the counters did, and never came back. Number 25. The Frankfurter on a roll. 20 cents. That was it. A hot, tasty Frankfurter on a soft white roll with mustard or relish, printed right there on the menu board in plain black type. No frills, no upcharge, no build-your-own options. The Frankfurter arrived in a shallow oval dish, skin split where the griddle had kissed it, the roll slightly warmed from sitting near the heat lamp. You dressed it yourself from the condiment tray at the end of the counter, yellow mustard in a squeeze bottle, sweet pickle relish in a small glass dish, with a spoon that was always slightly sticky. Children ordered it because it was the cheapest hot item on the board. Factory men ordered it because 2 of them cost 40 cents and left a dime for coffee. The Frankfurter at Woolworth's was not a gourmet product. It was honest food at an honest price, served by a woman who had it on the plate in under 2 minutes. When the counter closed, the 20-cent Frankfurter went with it. A hot dog at a ballpark now costs $12 and tastes worse. Number 24. Heinz Beef Stew. 50 cents bought you a full Heinz hot dinner at the Woolworth's counter, and the beef stew was the one that sold out first on cold days. Thick, brick red gravy from a pot that had been sitting on low heat since opening. Chunks of beef gone tender from long simmering. Potatoes softened until a fork went through them without effort. A slice of buttered bread came alongside on the same oval plate, white and soft, and perfect for pushing through the last of the gravy. The smell hit you the moment you walked past the counter on your way to the sewing notions aisle. On a Tuesday in November, with the wind cutting through your coat on the walk from the bus stop, that smell was enough to make you sit down without even looking at the menu. Heinz supplied the base. The cook added the hours. Today, beef stew comes in a can you microwave for 2 minutes and eat standing over the sink. Nothing about that is the same thing. Number 23. The ham salad plate. Not a sandwich, a plate. A scoop of ham salad, ground fine with sweet pickle relish and yellow mustard, and just enough mayonnaise to hold it together, sitting in the center of a wide china dish, with a fan of saltine crackers arranged around it, and the lettuce leaf underneath that nobody ate but the presentation demanded. Ham salad at Woolworth's was 45 cents for the plate, and it was built from the trimmings of the same ham they sliced for the grilled ham platters. Nothing left the kitchen wasted. The flavor was exactly what you needed when you wanted something that tasted like effort, without being too heavy for a lunch hour. Salty, smoky, slightly sweet from the relish, and cool enough from the icebox that it contrasted with the hot coffee you ordered alongside it. This was the plate that older women ordered, the ones who came in alone on a Thursday, took the end stool, and read a paperback while they ate without apology. Ham salad plate. Gone. Number 22. The 3-decker club sandwich. 50 cents and worth every penny of it. 3 slices of toasted white bread, baked ham, American cheese, and tomato layered between them, cut into 4 neat triangles and held with frilled toothpicks that wobbled when the plate hit the counter. The Woolworth's menu board called it the 3-decker club sandwich, and it was the aspirational order, the one you got when you wanted lunch to feel like an occasion. The toast was crisp enough to crackle when you bit through the first triangle. The ham was sliced thin, The cheese was exactly 1 slice per layer, because 2 would have been extravagant, and 0 would have been the point of no return. The tomato added juice that soaked into the bottom slice and turned it soft before you could finish. For 50 cents in 1963, this was abundance. The toothpick was not decoration. It was structural. Without it, the whole thing collapsed, much like the counter itself. Number 21. The grilled Old English cheese and bacon sandwich. 50 cents. And this one barely anybody talks about because the name sounds like something a butler would serve. Old English cheese was Kraft's processed sharp cheddar spread, the kind that came in a small glass jar and smelled aggressively of cheese the moment the lid came off. Spread thick on white bread with 2 strips of bacon, grilled flat on the griddle until the bread turned the color of a paper bag, and the cheese melted into the bacon grease and became something altogether richer than its parts. This was not the mild, crowd-pleasing grilled cheese. This was the one with opinions. The sharpness of the Old English cut through the fat of the bacon and left a flavor at the back of your throat that stayed through the whole afternoon. Counterworkers ate these on their breaks. Regulars who had exhausted the rest of the menu ordered them. And then one day, Woolworth stopped stocking the small glass jars, and the sandwich quietly ceased to exist. Number 20. Chili con carne with wafers. 30 cents. A white ceramic bowl of chili, ground beef, kidney beans, tomato, and enough chili powder to make your sinuses register a complaint, with a small sleeve of saltine crackers on the side. Woolworths called them wafers on the menu board. They were saltines. You crumbled them into the bowl, or you ate them alongside. Either way worked. The chili was thick enough that a spoon stood up in it for a moment before slowly tilting over. It was not the best chili anyone ever made. It was not trying to be. It was 30 cents at noon on a cold Wednesday, and it was hot, and it was filling, and the woman behind the counter brought you a second napkin without being asked. When Woolworths closed their lunch counters in the 1980s and 90s, no one wrote an obituary for the 30-cent chili. But the people who ordered it every Thursday remembered it for the rest of their lives. Number 19. The baked ham sandwich. 45 cents. Listed under the 3-decker section of the menu, but available as a single decker for the man who wanted something between a snack and a full meal. Sliced baked ham on white bread. Nothing more complicated than that. The ham was warm from the steam tray, cut thick enough to have substance, and the bread was soft enough that the first bite compressed the whole thing into something that tasted far better than the ingredient count suggested. Ham, bread, that was the list. The genius was in the execution, the quality of the ham, the freshness of the bread, and the understanding that not everything needed to be dressed up. Some things were complete without embellishment. 45 cents. The current equivalent, adjusted for inflation, is about $4.50. You cannot buy a piece of bread for $4.50 at an airport. Number 18. The hamburger platter. 55 cents. And this was the anchor of the entire menu board. A quarter-pound all-beef hamburger on a toasted bun, with a tomato slice on lettuce or coleslaw and French fried potatoes. The whole map of American lunch on one oval plate. The burger arrived with the bun slightly compressed from the weight of the patty, the tomato slice already releasing its juice into the lettuce beneath it, the French fries piled in a small mountain alongside, hot enough that the steam was still visible when the plate crossed the counter. 55 cents in 1962 is roughly $5.50 today. For that, you received protein, vegetables, starch, and a place to sit for as long as it took you to eat it. The counterwoman refilled your water without being asked. The stool swiveled in case you wanted to watch the rest of the lunch counter, the way a man watches a good street from a good chair. The Woolworths hamburger platter was not a destination meal. It was just a perfect one. Number 17. The grilled ham and egg platter. 60 cents. Ham and scrambled eggs and French fried potatoes, with a slice of buttered bread. Lunch serving breakfast, because the people eating it had been awake since before the sun, and their bodies still needed what breakfast provided. The ham sizzled on the griddle. The eggs went in beside it, scrambled loose and pulled early, so they came out soft and slightly glossy, rather than the dry, rubbery catastrophe that most modern short-order eggs become. The potatoes were from the same batch as every other platter. The bread was buttered while still warm. 60 cents covered all of it. This was the plate that shift workers ordered at 11 in the morning after a night on the factory floor, and the plate that the stock boys from the Woolworths floor ordered on their lunch break, still in their red vests, sitting 2 stools apart from each other, and not talking because they spent enough time together already. Here is what nobody tells you about the Woolworths lunch counter. It was not actually about the food. The food was good, honest, cheap, fast, satisfying. But the counter was about something that has no line item on a menu board. You walked in off the street, you sat down on whichever stool was empty, and within 30 seconds a woman was standing across the counter from you asking what you wanted. Not what is your name for the cup, not please download the app, not scan the QR code, just what do you want? And she wrote it down on a small pad, tore the page off, spiked it above the pass-through, and turned back to the grill before you could answer any follow-up questions. There was an efficiency to it that felt like respect. Your time was worth the same as hers. You were both busy. A King Size Coca-Cola was a dime with the meal. Coffee was a nickel with unlimited refills. Nobody took more than 40 minutes. Nobody needed to. The counter was designed for the lunch hour and nothing else. And because of that single constraint, it was the most civilized room in the building. Number 16. The tuna fish salad sandwich, 45 cents. And this was the Friday sandwich at every Woolworths in a Catholic neighborhood from the south side of Chicago to South Boston. Canned tuna, drained, flaked, and mixed with mayonnaise and a little diced celery, served on white bread with a leaf of iceberg. The tuna was bumblebee or chicken of the sea, and the brand did not matter because the prep was the same either way. Mixed by hand in a stainless bowl every morning, refrigerated, scooped to order with an ice cream scoop that left a perfect dome of filling in the center of the bread before the second slice went on. The celery provided crunch, the mayonnaise provided richness, the iceberg provided the cold that contrasted with the rest of the lunch counter's steam and heat. It was the sandwich that required the least theater to eat. You could read a magazine through a tuna salad sandwich and not miss anything. That was the point. 45 cents. No mess. Back to the housewares aisle. Number 15. The ham salad and egg sandwich. 45 cents. And if you have never encountered this combination, that says everything about how thoroughly it has been buried. Ham salad, the ground relish-mixed mayo-bound version, with a sliced hard-boiled egg on white bread. The egg added protein and a creaminess that turned the ham salad from a spread into something that could hold its own as a full meal. The yolk broke down slightly against the ham salad when the sandwich was pressed together, and the two things became one flavor that was simultaneously familiar and unlike anything you could quite name. Women ordered this. Secretaries on the lunch break. Teachers from the school 2 blocks over. Women who were spending their own money and wanted something that actually filled them up, rather than something decorative on a small plate. Ham salad and egg disappeared completely from American menus sometime in the early 1970s, when the concept of a sandwich that required 2 forms of protein was quietly deemed excessive. Number 14. Golden brown French fried potatoes. 20 cents for a large order. Just the potatoes, no platter, no protein. A paper-lined basket or an oval dish piled with hand-cut fries, fried in oil that was hot enough to make the outside shatter when you bit down. Woolworths listed these separately on the menu board because there was a population of lunch counter visitors who did not want a full meal. They wanted fries and a Coca-Cola and 20 minutes off their feet. The fries were salted at the fryer, arriving at the counter still crackling, the steam visible in cold weather. There was no dipping sauce. There was salt and there was ketchup in a glass bottle on the counter, and those were the options. 20 cents, not a side dish, not an add-on, a meal in its own right for someone who had $1 and needed to make it last the week. The French fry survived Woolworths, but the 20-cent order, the one that assumed you might be poor and treated you well anyway, that is gone. Number 13, the grilled cheese and bacon sandwich, 50 cents, which was 5 cents more than the plain grilled cheese because the bacon was not a small thing. 2 strips, cooked on the same griddle as the bread, laid across the melted American cheese in the last 30 seconds before the sandwich came off the heat. The bacon fat rendered into the butter on the bread, and the combined grease soaked into the white bread from both sides, until the interior of the sandwich was a geological layer of fat and protein and cheese. This was not a nutritionally responsible meal. It was a physically perfect one. The bread crackled, the cheese pulled, the bacon provided resistance. The whole thing cost 50 cents and tasted like the best decision you made all week. Today, a bacon grilled cheese at a brunch restaurant in any American city costs $16 and arrives on sourdough with Gruyere and a small pot of house-made aioli. It is worse. Number 12. The baked ham and American cheese sandwich, 50 cents, listed at the top of the 3-decker section, but orderable as a standard 2-slice sandwich. Ham, American cheese, white bread. The cheese went on while the ham was still warm from the steam tray, and it softened at the edges from the residual heat in a way that was not quite melted, but was no longer fully solid. Something in between. The ham was salty enough that the mild sweetness of the American cheese was not redundant. It was necessary. The bread held the whole thing without asserting itself. This was the sandwich that did not need anything. No mustard, no lettuce, no tomato slice. The 3 ingredients were in exact proportion, and the correct response to perfecting a formula is to leave it alone. Lunch counter cooks understood this. The modern restaurant industry, which cannot leave a menu item undeconstructed, does not. Here is where the story gets uncomfortable. In 1960, Woolworth's lunch counters were sites of some of the most important civil rights protests in American history. On February 1st, 4 black college students, Ezell Blair Jr., Franklin McCain, Joseph McNeil, and David Richmond, sat down at the whites-only Woolworth's lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina, and refused to leave when they were denied service. Within weeks, sit-in protests had spread to lunch counters across the South. Within months, Woolworths desegregated its counters. What this list is really a history of is a room that was first a symbol of exclusion, and then, because of 4 young men who sat down anyway, became something else entirely. The grilled cheese and the frankfurter and the chili con carne, all of those things taste different when you understand that the right to sit at the counter and order them was not always available to everyone. The food was always good. The room became worthy of the food. Keep that in your head for the rest of this list. And that's where we have to pause, because what's coming next is the part of this list I've been holding back. Numbers 11 down to number 1. The sandwiches that didn't just disappear. They were the ones every lunch counter in America was known for. The ones people actually lined up for. And most of them, completely gone. If you want to see the rest of the countdown, subscribe and hit the bell. The second half of this list is coming. And trust me, number 1 is going to stop you cold. You already know more about American lunch counter history than most people ever will. Stick around, we're just getting to the good part.